This conference will now be recorded.
Dave, are we on? Good afternoon. Thank you all for coming to the second and last presentation on Election Buddy, because next week we're going to try it. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Sue Deal, and I am the chair of Communications Committee. And in that role, I have been working with the office, with the board, and with the office contact with Election Buddy to put this material together for you. So first though, I have to do my duty. This is the official 40th anniversary t-shirt. They are for sale in activities. The main activities started with the pickleball tournament and continue on. There'll be a lot more activities in March, and you will be hearing about those. So as I start, I'll do my best to give you the best. The information that I have, and I've tried to anticipate the questions, or I've heard questions from a lot of you. So hopefully they are now all answered here. First of all, let me just say that it's going to take me a lot longer to tell you about this than it's going to vote. It is very fast. The voting, not the presentation. There we go. So this is our first electronic vote ever. It'll be from February 3rd through February 14th at noon. It'll finish at noon on the 14th, so that the last of the paper ballots can be entered. It's either going to be where you are in your computer or whatever electronic device you want to use, or and then you'll access the link in the notice you're going to get, or it'll be by paper ballot at your request. So let's see, also the access will be by a secure key, and we will set up what we're calling a kiosk, a voting kiosk in the library for the work days of those 2 weeks. So that's the 3rd through the 7th and the 10th through the 14th. You can, if you have a paper ballot and you want to, you can bring it in and we can help you vote electronically. But I hope that you will find that this is a very easy process. We'll be publishing a schedule for the kiosks. Okay, before I get into details, there's a couple of things that just to remind you of. Next. Sorry, Dave. You want me to wave at you when I'm ready? Okay, review your choices before you sit down to do this electronically. And I would even say on paper, all of the text of all of the changes will appear, but if you have an idea ahead of time how you want to vote, it will obviously be quicker, like any election. If you use your phone, I suggest you turn it this way, just because it's a little bit easier to read, although it can be quite clear on your phones. If you requested a paper ballot, it'll be mailed to you by U.S. mail or available for pickup, apparently depending on how you requested it. Darlene is saying. Okay, it will be put in your mailbox at Happy Trails as well. And paper ballots will then be, once they're returned and validated, will be entered by HTCA staff into Election Buddy. The Board of Directors election requires a choice of 0 to 3 applicants, including write-ins. There is no abstain option, and lately there's been confusion about if you vote yes or no. You'll see pretty soon in the examples they are just check boxes. There's no yes, there's no no. Either you check a person's name or you don't. If you want to write in candidates, you certainly can, as long as there's no more than 3, either written or checked. And the text of all the changes for the governing documents, the bylaws and CC&Rs will be available. Now, every one of those does require a specific yes, no, or abstain. So I'll repeat these again at the end. Hopefully they answer some questions, or will by the time we're at the end. Okay, Election Buddy has 3 phases. You receive a notice of the election and an invitation to join, or your paper ballot will be mailed or can be picked up in the office or in the box. You enter your ballot choices, so you're making selections on each of the questions as directed, and then review before submitting. And Election Buddy makes this very easy to do. When you receive the notice, it will have the link information. This is a 16-digit key. Does it see at the bottom? Just like for a website. If you're looking at it on your phone or your laptop with the email open, you can click the link and it will take you directly to your ballot. No account is necessary, no password, no anything else. This invitation is your access to Election Buddy. I have a note here to consider adding invitations at mail.electionbuddy.com to your contact list so that the invitation doesn't go to spam. Some of these things I want to put together in a checklist for you that we can submit with the blast, or I think that would probably be a way to do it. Okay. A few of us who have been working on this were lucky enough to do a test. Election Buddy set up a test ballot for us. Roberta, Darlene, Brad, and I were on the list of people to test it. Roberta and Marie tested it on Roberta's phone. And I did kind of look at it on the phone. It's very clear, but you know that today's phones are really clear with text. Darlene used her phone, I used my PC. Once you click on that, you are in the ballot, and all of the items will appear in the same order, whether they're paper or electronic.
Can I add to that, Sue?
Yes.
The only thing that will not be the same, is the candidates' names. It's like any other vote, they kind of rotate them. So if Ms. Johnson gets her electronic ballot, she might have, I'm making names up, Brad, Jim, Fred, Cliff. But if I get my electronic ballot, I might have Jeff, Cliff, Brad, Greg. So only those names will rotate, and that's done automatic, and that's just a standard procedure.
Right, and that is the sequence, not the people.
Correct.
Okay, so don't give yourself a headache looking at this slide, but this is exactly the order you will see things on paper or on Election Buddy. The board of directors candidates will be presented to you, their names with a checkbox. If you want to vote for them, check the box. If you don't, leave it blank. You don't have to vote for any candidates. You can vote for any combination of 0 to 3, as long as you vote for no more than 3. When paper ballots come back, this is nothing new. This is the way the elections have always been. If there are an invalid number of votes, then your ballot is invalid. And that was kind of a convoluted sentence. If you've gone over 3, then the ballot is invalid. And then it just carries on in sequence right down through. The paper ballot has 18 pages. So in order to make it clearer and easier, they have just continued it right on. I'm off that screen, and it's the same with Election Buddy. When you're looking at your screen, you vote on something and you scroll down to the next something. Okay, the slate of candidates will be presented. You can see that. Wait, back up one, please. You're too fast for me, Davey. One more. Okay, so you'll see the slate of candidates, and I just told you can decide to vote for no one however you want to do it. But if you need to stop and your session time's out, you can go back and start again. And if you are looking at the candidates and you want to refresh your memory about their bios, there is a little information box. I wish I had a pointer. The little information box will open a new window for you. Yes. Sorry? Oh, it's okay. I can't manage all of those things, but thank you. Anyway, if you click on information, you will get the bio of that particular candidate. When you're done, there's a little tiny X I have circled in the upper corner. You click that and it'll go right back to the ballot. It actually doesn't leave the ballot, it opens another screen for you. So you haven't lost anything. Okay, this is the summary. We don't want any choices, we don't have to make them. There's no abstain option for board members. The CC&Rs make provision for up to 7 directors. There do not have to be 7 directors. And every valid ballot, in other words, all the way through the process, as long as the ballot is accepted, it counts towards quota. I'm starting with quota because we're talking about board of directors at this point. Our CC&Rs and whatever documents control this say 25% of the lots in the resort, in this case 501. It doesn't matter how you vote, it just matters that your ballot was cast correctly. And then you can just keep right on scrolling, and you'll get to the bylaw and CC&R entries. This screenshot is from the test, or the test ballot that I cast. Ballot is bleh, too many words. So the complete text of the change is shown, and in this case I just abbreviated it, and it's all a change. I think it's an addition, so it's in bold black. But I wanted to show you in particular, and I blew it up a little, is what your choices will look like. You have the option yes, no, abstain, and see down below, Election Buddy says you have selected 0 of what? Of 1. Okay, you have to select one of the 3. That's a requirement for these particular items, the governing documents. So once again, I recommend that you go through and know ahead of time how you want to vote on these, because it'll make this faster. If you scroll past this, because you can scroll freely, if you scroll past any of the governing document changes, Election Buddy will tell you at the end that you have missed one or more than one. And I'll show you that in a couple seconds. You scroll all the way through. When you get down to the end, the very last that we have provided, back one, Dave, then and only then will you see a continue button, which tells Election Buddy, okay, you've finished this part of it. And I tried to show you at the bottom there, when you do cast a vote, the color will change on the options to show you that you have selected this, and Election Buddy tells you you've selected 1 of 1. Okay, click the continue button, and Election Buddy will show you all of your choices, and for all of the, not only the board members, but also for all of the governing document changes. And if you are doing paper ballot, this is where you want to double check what you have entered. Now, as far as if you decide to change your mind on the paper ballot, Darlene, can they exit out, just cross it out and initial a new change, or are they?
No.
Sorry, I had to ask that one.
My recommendation is, before you submit your paper ballot, if you've made errors, come and get a new ballot. That way we don't have initials all over and then it gets questions at a later date. As long as you don't submit it to us, we can give you another ballot. It's going to have the same code on it, the 16-digit code. You complete it without any errors, then bring it back in and put it in the ballot box. If you've already put it in the ballot box, then it's going to be too late.
Thank you. I hadn't heard that final answer either. Okay. So at the bottom, you'll see there are 2 boxes, edit or submit. Next, Dave. If you want to start a review of your selections again, go back and relook at them, you click edit. And that will give you the option to change any of them that you want to. If you are done, you click submit, which finalizes and registers your vote. And at that point, you cannot make any changes to your ballot. So it's consistent with the send a clean ballot in. That records it to Election Buddy for counting, and at this time, your ballot is tallied for quorum. And so it has been tallied for quota when you voted on board choices, and now it's tallied for quorum as the CCNR and bylaw changes. And the quorum is 51% or 1,001 valid ballots. Okay. If you skipped something, Election Buddy will take you back as if you were doing the review all over again. We'll say select one choice. In this case, I deliberately skipped a vote in my test, so this is straight off of the results would be. And so it says select one choice, and down at the bottom it says you've selected 0 of 1. And it might be however many you accidentally skipped, because it scrolls through very smoothly. Then this is your chance to fix that, to make your ballot valid. Then at the bottom again, you just click submit. Once you click submit, you get a confirmation receipt right there. And if you used a paper ballot, HTCA staff will receive the confirmation, because they will be entering your information into Election Buddy. So the same process applies for them as for us. Okay, when you return your paper ballot, the staff will validate the envelope. Don't forget, name, lot, and signature. In all the years I've been at Happy Trails, which is over 20, that has never changed. If you don't put name, lot, and signature on your envelope, then it's not valid. The envelope is validated by them, then the votes are entered and cross-checked by staff. If your ballot is blank or doesn't follow the rules, it's all invalid. So in other words, if you check 4 director candidates or 3 in a write-in, it invalidates your whole ballot. And as I understand it, the staff will be counting each day's votes every day, and observation method to observe will be set up, and we'll be sending out more about that. Staff will be. And again, your vote stays private, because nobody sees that it was you that put that one in, and the kiosk will be set up so we can help you if you want. And if you want to do your paper ballot online after all, we can help you with that. All right, let's see here. Now I want to take just a second to talk to you about how quota and quorum will look. This is no different than it's ever been. These are Happy Trails rules for managing elections. So if we get 1,200 votes, everybody's happy. There's sufficient votes, ballots cast, validated ballots, to do a board of directors election, and there are sufficient votes to count the yeses and nos on the CCNRs and bylaws. No CCNR, for instance, has to have 1,001 votes. There just have to be 1,001 valid votes to count the yeses and nos. The same is true with the directors. If ballots come in that are valid but have nobody selected, then nobody gets a tally mark. So this is, I think, one of the questions that's come up, and this is the difference. And we Happy Trails, provide the rules to Election Buddy for this. Okay, last one is another one of those things that I will see if we can't print out or make available on Neighbor, because it's just a summary of everything I just said. And it says if you're using Election Buddy or you're not. There's no difference between the two, it's just a summary. And then going back to the tips, same tips. Just review before you vote, it will be easier. Board of Directors is for 0 to 3 candidates. Bylaws and changes, you'll see the text, and you must vote yes, no, or abstain. And anytime if you stop in the middle or your system times out, if you stop in the middle and the system has gone away, then you get out your 16-digit code and you start again. All right, I think that's all I had. Once Election Buddy has returned the results, then management will publish the results.
Yeah, so as Sue said, I had the luxury also doing part of the test, and the minute I got the invite, I took it over to Marie, and Marie and I sat on her couch, and we did it on my phone, and I did it this way. And after dealing with the paper ballots, working with Jen, I got to tell you, doing it on the phone, reading it on the phone was much easier than 9 pages double-side print of the ballot. It was much easier to get through. The other thing that I did is the next day, I went back to my email and I clicked on it again to see if I can get back into it, and it won't. It comes up and says, thank you. You entered in on January 23rd at such and such a time. Appreciate your vote. So you can't do it twice. Okay. We are encouraging you, how many here, I'm just asking, ask for a paper ballot? Just curious. Okay, couple. Okay. We are encouraging you, if you get your paper ballot, come to the kiosk, let the communications team set you down, show you how to log in, and we encourage you to go ahead and enter the paper ballot. That does 2 things. 1, that gives you the opportunity to maybe learn something new. But 2, because I've heard this, it ensures you enter the ballot as you want it entered, if you're worried about 2-person integrity doing it. So that helps. And then we benefit because we get an instant reading, but actually we benefit because then the next time this is used, you've been trained, you understand how to do it, and we're not paying for additional paper cost. It is not difficult. Sue is absolutely right. She took way longer than it's going to take you to vote electronically. And it's not confusing. It's foolproof. You can check 3 names and put right in a person's name on the ballot for the candidates. It won't let you go through. It'll stop you at the end. You have too many checks. So you go back and you check 1 or 2 or 3 or 0, whatever, you're fine. But if you go in the CC&Rs, and we both purposely didn't check 1, when we went to submit, it sent us back and said, you have an error, please check this. So we check it, and it highlights the section that we didn't actually vote on. Okay, so it's very, very foolproof. Then when you get done, you have the option to edit or to just review it and then submit, and then you get a thank you for voting, a confirmation code, if you will, and you're done. It's that easy. I would say it's easier than court reserve. So, and I use court reserve on both locations, so you'll find it good. And if anybody wants to see what it looks like on the phone, I did take a screenshot of it so you can see.
There's a question up here. If we're ready for questions.
We can, or I can go through the list of questions I received by an email.
Let me address this one first.
Oh, sure.
Debbie Cheek says, how can a person who makes an error on a paper ballot bring it in for a new one when they are 1,000 miles away? I'm not sure what to tell you other than to just say, check first what you want to do your homework, look at the red lines, look at the paper, because I don't know if there would be enough time in the mail to get them back and forth.
Right, and Deb, that would be no different, Debbie, than when we've done previous ballots before. It would be the same thing. They might send that ballot in and they end up, it's just disqualified. It's either that, or if you call them, because I think I know who you're talking about, you call them and walk them through the process of doing it electronically. And that might be helpful. Then he can get it in.
On a paper ballot, if you accidentally or whatever skipped one of the changes and you send it in, then what?
It's invalid. The whole thing is invalid. No different than before when we did paper ballots. So it has to be completely filled out. That's why we put the abstain on there, in case somebody just really didn't care about the CC&R, I don't know. We just gave you a third option on there. Otherwise, we could have forced a yes, no, but we put an abstain. So please make sure you check all those.
I've learned to repeat back what you said when I don't understand. So on every option, We have to make a choice. We cannot leave anything unchecked
That's
on the
right.
CCNRs. On the candidates, we can leave it blank and move forward. Thank you.
Right. You can.
That
If
is correct.
The
Go ahead.
candidates is a checkbox.
Yeah, your candidates section, if you want to look at it, it's kind of like a different ballot, but they're combined. 0 to 3. Or you write in somebody with any combination of 2 others. Or you put 1. Your choice. Yeah. That is not mandated. But the CCNRs are mandated for a yes, no, abstain vote. So each one of those, and there's 14 of them, I believe, need to be checked.
Let me just talk to that a little bit again, too. We never have had yes, no on candidates that I can remember, and I've been an owner since 2000. It just is yes or nothing. As far as CCNRs, it's pretty much always been yes or no. There was some confusion about, does a CCNR need 1,000 votes? No, there need to be 1,001 valid ballots, and then it's the majority yes or majority no. Abstain won't count for anything.
Right. It's kind of a no. Okay, so let me answer a couple questions. I got quite a few on an email. It said one of the starting and ending times and dates of the election period, and I think we covered that. And are they the same for the paper as well as the electronic ballots? That's correct. Will ballots for electronic and paper voting have the same format, text, layout? That is correct. They will, and I think Sue covered that. Is management able to print out ballots as needed, or must a request be submitted to EB for printing ballots? No, management can do that. That's Jen, so I think Sue covered that as well. How and when can voters contact Jennifer Eastman, who is our POC for EB, to ask for help or clarification? Well, that's Monday through Friday and her hours of work. Again, we will have a kiosk in there on every day, Monday through Friday during the day, 10 to 2. So we're going to go 4 hours in the middle of the day, so you don't have to get up real early or stay up real late. But to help address those that are still working, Jackie actually came up with an idea to have 2 nights on both weeks where we'll have somebody like 5 to 7. We're only going to cut it down to 2 hours, 5 to 7 in the library with a kiosk to help if you need help, and possibly that Saturday, so that there is ample time for you guys to come in. Okay? Yes.
Jennifer works Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. She's part-time. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, though, I will be in the office to assist you if you need any help on those days.
I'm sorry, I've just seen her so much, I was thinking she was full-time. I know, but she's putting in a lot, isn't she? If a voter is using electronic, election buddy, or paper, will all items on the ballots always be listed the same? Well, we covered that. The CCNRs, governing documents, yes, those will always stay in the same format and in the same order. With candidates, it's an automatic where they will roll, so there's no telling. Where, that kind of helps people from going only vote for candidate 1, 3, and 4. Okay, you can't do that because you better have names for people. If using election buddy, is it requested that all items have a yes, okay, no, or abstain? In the CCNRs, yes. And what if an item is skipped? Then you're sent back. You can't submit your ballot electronically. If it's paper, it'll be null and void. If using paper ballot, can changes be made and initialed by the voter, or should a new ballot? No, you will have to request a new ballot. However, if you make a mistake and you want to save us the additional $2 of printing that stuff out, well, and then an extra money, come into the kiosk and we'll let you enter it in all by yourself. Or you can enter it at home if you want to give it a shot. If using EB, will a voter be able to vote yes for 4 candidates? That's a no. And can you vote no for 4 candidates? No. You can only put 3 candidates on. Any combination of 0 to 3, including the write-in. Okay, how many candidates can we vote for? Okay, up to 3. Okay, Right, and that includes the write-in. So we all got that. Okay, good. And you can have 3 write-ins. We put 3 write-ins in there too. So if you have 3 write-ins, you can do that as well. Okay, hang on, Fred. What will the outcome of paper ballots that are not marked correctly according to EB electronic? Okay, again, invalid. Can voters using electronic ballots submit their votes in the ballot if the ballot is incomplete? No. Remember, you have to fill out everything when you're doing it electronically, except for the candidates. That can be left basically 0. And I would encourage you, please come to meet the candidates so you can hear the candidates and figure out who you'd like to vote for. They're going to be here tonight at 6 o'clock. Let's see. It has been stated that management can track who has submitted their electronic ballot and can send reminders to those who have not voted. How will management remind voters with paper ballots? On the same time schedule as electronic voters. Okay, so what happens is everybody gets an electronic message. Everybody gets an email. Whether you requested a paper ballot or not, you will get an email inviting you to vote. Every day, management will be entering those ballots that they've received in the ballot box, the paper ballots, into the system. So by that night, the system will know who, whether they had paper or electronic, has voted. So we'll probably send out a notice midway through the week saying, just a reminder, we don't have your vote yet. And then probably again at the end of the week, we don't have your vote yet. Okay? If a voter has a paper ballot but chooses to vote EB and then turns in a paper ballot, how will the system respond? And will the first ballot be retained in the EB system and the second ballot be rejected? That is absolutely correct. The winner goes to the electronic voting system. So if an individual has a paper ballot and they at home go ahead and do it electronically, and then for whatever reason they decide to bring in the paper ballot, I'm not saying that's going to happen, I'm hoping not, and management goes to enter that, they will be flagged immediately saying this vote has already been cast. That paper ballot is now null and void, it's out. There's no way to pull the electronic vote out. So it stays. So don't try and use that as, oh, I screwed up on the first one, let me do better on the second one.
Isn't it also true that if they let their paper ballot be entered and then come and try and do it electronically, that won't work either?
That is correct too. Well, just like what happened to me, right? Because I got that notice that said, thank you for entering your vote. Voters are concerned about the accuracy of the data entry process, paper ballots into EB system. Please explain the process and how that will work. Two-person integrity, it will be the management team and the POC will be running this. They will put out a schedule daily, or put out a schedule when they will be doing this, which is pretty much going to be daily, Monday through Friday. They're going to enter the paper ballots that they receive into the system. You can observe, but you can't be looking over their shoulder. It's no different when the election committee was counting ballots and you were allowed to sit in the room while they were counting the ballots. It's the same thing. You're not going to see much, but you can see them enter the data. And they will do the same thing. They'll enter the data, they'll double check it, and then they'll hit the submit button. If a quorum or quorum is not met, what will happen? Please explain the process if there's a need to re-verify the election, electronic and paper ballots. If a quorum is not met, if we do not receive 1,001 ballots, then no CC&R changes will occur. It's as simple as that. Okay? If we do not receive the 501 votes for the candidates, then there will be no candidates selected. And then the board makes the decision, do they run with 4, or by state statute, we can try and twist the arms of, rope tie the 3 that are supposed to leave, and see if we can keep them for another year until the election takes place next year. Or we look at running another election in a few months. Those are the options. We never had a problem reaching 501 before, so I really don't anticipate having that problem again. Having that problem now. Will the paper ballots be entered into B as soon as they're received? We just talked about that. They will be entered in daily. I will tell you that if we're in the kiosk and you walk in with a paper ballot, I might come over and ask, can we help you enter that? Can we just help you sit down, get logged in, and you enter it? Then you can assure that you got it entered the way you want, just to help you out. It was stated that management could perform pre-tally of paper ballots prior to data entry. Is that the plan? No. The plan is at the end of the day, they will do the appropriate checks with the envelopes to make sure it is a valid envelope with appropriate signature, lot number, name. They'll separate the ballots from the envelopes so they're off to the side. There's no names or lot numbers on those ballots. And then they will take those ballots and enter them into the system. And it was stated that management could get a subtotal from EB of electronic votes prior to data entry of the paper ballots. Is that the plan? Not really necessary. I will leave that up to Jen if she wants to do a calculation before she starts entering the paper ballots. It's not really needed. Will voters receive the raw data for each item voted on in addition to the results? Yes, that is my understanding. When the results come out, and I know that we're going to have 1,001 ballots, I'm counting on it, then it will show, I'll pick a CC&R, annual date changes to April. It'll show that, and it'll say there's, I'm going to make up numbers, 900 yes, 400 no, 20 abstain. That's the raw data. Majority wins. If any or even one of the amendments and bylaw sections are approved, will the association then go through this expense process of registering and updating the CC&Rs and bylaw amendments that were approved? Yes, but it's not expensive. So it is a matter of working with Curtis, getting the red lines accepted, discarded, so that the one CC&R that's accepted is accepted. Then that document is filed with the city and with the attorney. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is that? Oh, the attorney files it, yes, through accounting. Will paper ballots and envelopes be kept for 1 year? Yes. Paper ballots and the envelopes will be kept for 1 year. Actually, probably longer because I think we still have a couple years up in the attic. How will HT management have access to EB data for 1 year? Is there a cost for assessing? No. Fred, I don't know who's calling you, but I'm hoping it's a hot date. No, they will be able to, is part of our license agreement with Election Buddy that we can go back within 1 year to assess that information if we need to. And they're required to keep it by law for 1 year. If there is a need for a recount, how will that happen? It was stated EB will have the data entry numbers and will do the recount. Isn't it necessary to confirm the data that was entered from the paper ballots? If so, we will have the paper ballots in order to bump that against whatever Election Buddy has, and they will do the recount. Not sure what would classify a recount. We've never had a recount before that I'm aware of, but if it happens, we do have access to all of that. Yes, absolutely.
So when management enters your paper ballot, on the Election Buddy side, it's going to show that that was a paper ballot that was entered. So that's how they will be able to tell between the two.
Okay. Fred, you had a question.
How do we access EB? Is that through the Happy Trails website?
No, can I take that one, Roberta?
You go right ahead.
Everybody in the resort is going to get an email, and it will have the link. If you can do it, Dave, it's back up at number 3, 4, 5. Anyway, you will get an email, and it will have the link in it. And that's a good point that you're raising, though, because I want to remind people 2 more. 1 more. No, the other way. Sorry. There. That's pretty much what it'll look like. Be sure and save it Because whether or not you decide to vote electronically, if you do decide to vote electronically and you want to come and get our help, or if you want to bring your paper to us, we can use that link to get you where you want to go.
If you get a paper ballot, that 16-digit number is going to be on your ballot also.
Yes.
So that's how we determine how to put it in Election Buddy, because we can't know who's the name on there, but we will use that 16-digit code. So all the paper ballots that go out are going to have their own unique 16-digit code number.
Yeah, thank you. Terry Walters, Lot 497. I've got a couple of questions for you. It used to be 1,501 to change the CCNRs. Was that an Arizona statute, 50%?
15, we never had
We have-
3,000 lots.
We have
so-
2,001 lots, so 51% would be 1,001. No,
What was that?
that's okay.
So who are the independent observers? We talk about observers. Who's going to be observing?
Anybody
That's if
that
you
wants
would like to observe. If you would like to observe them entering paper ballots, you are welcome to do that when they do those ballot entries Monday through Friday.
So we talk about this quorum. So you can vote for the 3 members of the board and yet not vote anything for the CCNRs.
No, the other way around.
I got to say it in the microphone so they get it on the speaker. You can choose not to vote for any of the candidates, although you can choose to vote up to 3, but you have to vote on the CCNRs, either a yes, no, or abstain. And the system, if you do it electronically, will not let you do it the wrong way.
And also, if you do choose abstain on everything, it still counts against the quorum. It still counts against 1,001.
Okay, on the other thing now, it talks about a daily count. You were talking about they're going to daily count and enter this into a memory bank. So who has access to that accumulation?
Only the staff,
The admin, the POC.
which is Jennifer in this
Oh,
case.
our point of contact, I'm sorry. Our point of contact is Jen Eastman, who is the one that was working directly with Election Buddy. They only will have one person that they talk to, and that's Jen. She was designated as that person. She can get a quote. She will have on-time, real-time results, whether it's hourly or daily. She can go in and pull it up and say, well, we've only received this many ballots.
I want to know if management and or the board has access to that information prior to the closing of the vote.
The board does not. As far as management, it would be Jen, our POC, point of contact. She would have access to that.
And it will not, as I know of, be published until the end of the vote, right, Darlene?
Yes. You think you're okay for now? I'll come back.
This 16-digit code, is that going to be used again next year, or will we be
Nope.
assigned a new number next year?
You'll get a new number next year.
Okay,
That's what it looks like.
okay.
How it came on my phone.
Last question. What is the record date for voting?
Record date, you mean the last date you can vote?
No. Who owns the property? On what day?
The record date of who is qualified to be able to vote or authorized to vote, I believe, was January 27th. Here.
So our accountant is currently determining to make sure who is up to date and is in good standing. That will be submitted to Election Buddy. So once we get that, if you are not in good standing, you will not be able to vote.
How about ownership on a specific date?
The same. So for instance, if you were to sell today and we got a new owner in place, you would not be allowed to vote. It would be the new owner.
That's as of the 3rd when we start the election process? Okay.
What day is the emails going to be sent?
The third that I
Third.
know of.
Okay, and could you give us that email address again so we could add it
Yes.
to contact?
Yeah, I will. I think that from some of the questions, there's things to make sure you have.
Any other questions? And see, that's what it said when I finished. It said, thank you. You submitted your vote. Here's your confirmation number. Yes, I'm coming. My steps.
Mickey Aston, Lot 13, 40 years. On the board of directors, the listing of the candidates, does it say on the instructions how many positions are open on the board?
It says 0 to 3 that you can vote for, because right now that's how many there are open. So no more than 3 would answer your question, I think. That's up to
No,
3.
it does, because I know, but there are people who do not know that there's 3 open positions. So I'm just wondering if it's clear that there are 3 open positions. Also, you have the option of retaining the list in one order or shuffling it.
I think
In Election Buddy.
Election Buddy makes the choice.
In Election Buddy, there is an option for end users, for administration, for management, whoever is using the system, to either shuffle the list randomly or to keep it the same. And we're choosing to shuffle it. So if I go into Election Buddy and I start the process, but I get out, next time I come in, the list will look differently.
That's true. That's why
For
I
the
keep the
candidates.
names.
Yeah, for the candidates. Okay.
Or it may not. To be honest, it may be associated with your key code, because you can enter back in with your 13 key codes. 16 key code, thank you.
So if I own multiple lots, it could look differently. If it's associated with the key code, it could look different every time I go into it for a different lot.
Right.
In November 7th, I asked for presentation copies or postings or sharing of Sue's presentation and never received it. We didn't receive it last time. Can we get a copy of what you're presenting today?
Yes.
How will that happen?
Probably on Neighbor. Post it on Neighbor. I'll put out the PDF.
Okay, I'm going to look at my list.
Sure. I thought I got them. You sent them all to me. Any other questions? Again, if you have a paper ballot, please come into the kiosk and let's learn together and put it in, and I think you'll be amazed at how fast it is. Or just try it at home on your computer. You can't go wrong. You're not going to make a mistake. It's not going to let you make a mistake. It's going to be easy.
And save your key.
In one of the past presentations, one of your past training sessions, Sue, there was a comment that some of the like items in the CCR section may be combined into one vote. Is the current red line CCNR version the way it's going to be, the number of items, or are any of those going to be combined?
No, it's exactly how it is in the red line. It's that section 1 where there's the names is all. Nothing's changed.
So based on the cheat sheet that we gave people that we talked about, there's that one section that is combined where it talks about changing residence vehicle to mobile home and recreational vehicle. And then it gives the definitions for each of those. That is one vote, because you can't vote on individually and then get accepted. So we agreed to combine it. It's a yes, no, abstain vote. If it doesn't pass, then, let's say if it doesn't pass, then we will stay with residence vehicle throughout the document.
I was going to say I hope, but will residents be informed of the dates, times for voting, the last date and time for voting? What was posted last Friday on Neighbor was incorrect. Will we have the correct dates of the kiosk time, the nights, and the days?
Yes.
Okay, that information has not been correct.
It was,
So-
the only difference was at the time that I put that together.
No, it wasn't you, Sue.
It
It
was-
wasn't you.
I know, but at the time it was put together, that was our plan, was the 13th, and now it's been changed to noon on the 14th.
Okay, it's always been the 14th. It's always been the 14th, and then the time, though, is going to be different than what I
But
assumed.
Time is 24 hours through all that 2-week
Not on the
period.
14th.
For the kiosk. Yeah. But for the kiosk, are you talking about, or for the vote itself?
Just to vote, to submit your votes. What's your final date and time?
February 14th at noon, either electronically or dropping off your ballots.
Okay.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Do I have any more questions? Thank you guys for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm happy to thank everyone for being here as well.
Anyone else?
And we will get the
Good.
presentation material out there. And I hope that you'll try this because it is so easy. It probably took 10 minutes at the most to go through it. And I was taking screenshots. So your time is up. What? Start again from the beginning.
No, I'm not going to start. Darlene, I did not hear you clearly. Can we pick up our paper ballot in the office? And it's my hearing. I didn't hear you.
So unless you ask or let us know that you're going to pick up your ballot, we're going to mail it to you, U.S. mail, if you are not here in the resort. If you are in the resort, it will be put in your mailbox here in the post office. And then if you ask to pick it up, yes, you are able to pick it up.
Okay, and thank you. At the last training session, we were told that we could initial any minor changes, but I understand you're asking, so there's no confusion.
Correct. I think it'd be cleaner that way. If we do receive one with some initials, we don't want those because it's not going to be clean. Just let me finish, please. The best way to do it, as long as you don't submit it, is come in and get another copy. It's no problem for us to print out another copy for you. So that way we make sure it's clean.
Or do it with the kiosk, because we don't care if it's valid.
Right. Exactly.
Can I ask who did the testing, you and Marie? And you? Okay, is anybody tested the system that hasn't seen the system before?
I hadn't seen the system before.
Well, I've seen it
This was
online.
First. Well, that's
I'm
it.
familiar with it online. I
That's
just
it.
wondered how the basic,
It's real straightforward,
okay.
just like it should.
And Marie's never had any contact with it. Marie's never had any contact with it, and she sat with me and did it. So, all right. Thank you again. If you got any questions, you'll
Thank
see
you
us
all.
about and around.
Don't forget the 40th anniversary.
Yep, 40th anniversary.
Did that answer your question? Let me see your shirt. This is the logo.
Yeah, that one really is cute. I like the bright red. I like the bright red. So, Jan, tomorrow, are we getting together? Do we need